This station, we are practicing identifying the domain and range of a function. Remember that domain represents all the possible x values, and range represents all the possible y values for a relation. So if we look at the first example, this is given a table. What we want to look at is for the domain, and you can abbreviate domain, we want to list all the numbers that are x values from least to greatest without repeating. So the smallest number is -3, then -1, then 2, then 4. Because all we've been given is a list of individual points, make sure you write them out using commas. Don't use any equalities or anything here. The range, we do the same thing. Again, don't repeat numbers and put them in order. So we would say 1, 4, and 7. Even though there was 2 4s, we only need to write the 4 one time. We always write from least to greatest. Looking at graphs, if all I had was a bunch of dots, that's when I would make a list just like we did when we looked at the tables. But since I have a line that connects all the values in between, we're going to use an inequality to write the domain and the range. Now, what you can look at here is for the domain, we want to look at all the x's. So we can see that where our x's start, if I were to take this, let me pick a different color. If I were to take this very first x value and drop it down, it would start right here. My very last x value would be right here. And you can see since that line is connected, I would include all the x values that are in between there. So to write this out, we would say that the domain starts at +1. We would say it's less than x and less than or equal to 4. The reason why this one is only less than and not equal to is because it's an open circle. Because I have a starting point and an ending point, that's why we write it this way with a compound inequality. If one of these sides was an arrow, then we would just say x greater than or equal to 1. Because it doesn't ever stop. It keeps going to the right forever, but this one doesn't. So for the range is talking about the y's, so we're going to use y as our variable this time. And again, if we look across, we have our starting point at 1 and our ending point at 7. The 1 is an open circle. So we'll write 1 is less than y less than or equal to 7. Again, these come from this one was an open circle and this one was a solid circle. That's why we use those signs. And that's how we explain our domain and range. When you have a list of ordered pairs, that's just a given list of numbers. So again, we won't use an inequality. So we just look at the x values and the y values and write them in a list. So the domain, -2, -1, 4, -1, 1. We don't want to repeat. The smallest number is -2, then -1, which we have twice, but we're only going to write it once, then 1, then 4. For the range, look at the y values. It goes 3, 5, 2, 4, 3. So that would be 2, 3, 4, and 5.